Hello, today I wanted to talk to you about how to go from outline to draft. So if you're at this point and you're watching this video, hopefully you've completed your pre-writing worksheet, which is in Module 3, where you get the directions to watch this video. Basically what this worksheet did is it created your outline. It's not in your typical outline form where you have A, B, C and your subpoints, but it's very similar, and I'm going to show you how to use this information that you created and turn it into your draft. First of all, under the heading Setting Up the Basics, we're going to save this information for later, okay? For the things I should do to make my reading convenient or things I should not do, we're going to save that for our second draft. We're going to skip right to planning the intro. So we're going to write your introduction first. The first sentence of your introduction is always a hook. And there's 3 types of hooks you can make. You can make a fact, a question, or an image. And if you completed this worksheet, you already made 3 of them. So now you just need to select which one you preferred. Make sure that it's a complete sentence and go ahead and copy that and put it into a new document. And that's your first sentence of your paragraph for your introduction. The subsequent sentences in your introduction are going to be the background information, and that's just basic information like the who, what, when, and where the reader needs to understand what you're talking about in your essay. So in this case, who are the refugees? Where are they from? Where did they flee? Who caused them to flee? Just that basic information. You don't want to get into the details. You want to save your details like the whys and the hows for your actual essay. But for the purpose of introduction, you're just introducing them to the idea. Okay, so you should have wrote 3 to 4 pieces of information that the readers needed to know before they could understand. So go ahead and make sure that those are in complete sentence form. If you just wrote simple ideas like where it takes place, then you would obviously need to change that into a sentence and say the refugees are displaced from their homes in, oh, I don't know, we'll say Atlanta. I don't know, not for real, obviously. So make sure those are in complete sentence form and add those as sentences in your introduction. So each one of those ideas can be its own sentence. Finally, the last sentence in your introduction is going to be your thesis statement. And I gave you a really good formula to use for your thesis. So the life of a refugee in the country Atlanta, this is a model, is limited because, and then you explain why they're suffering, because they don't have adequate food, shelter, or education. Whatever you made for your thesis, make sure it's in complete sentence form and copy that over. Now you should have anywhere from 5 to 6 sentences for your introduction now. And remember to indent the first line 5 spaces and make sure each sentence is a complete sentence, and you're done with your intro. Now we're under the heading of planning the body paragraphs. Each of those paragraphs, because there's only 3 of them, you have an introduction, 3 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. Each of your body paragraphs are going to have a topic that's going to relate to those refugees or the crisis. So in those topics, let's say you wrote 3 topics. The people of Atlanta fled due to political unrest. So this topic for this paragraph is going to talk about what caused this conflict. The second one, people of Atlanta starve or go without medical treatment. So this paragraph is going to focus on the reasons that they are starving or going without medical treatment, and what is that doing to the population. And the third paragraph, the topic of that one will be the crisis in Atlanta has not resolved. So this paragraph is going to talk about what's ongoing and why it's not getting better. So what you'll need to do for these sentences is go ahead and make sure they're going to blend into your essay. So I shouldn't just leave this as people of Atlanta flee due to political unrest. Actually, it should be fled. We could change this to, due to political corruption, the citizens of Atlanta were forced to leave their homes. So we would take that sentence and start a new paragraph under your introduction and paste that sentence as the first sentence in the second paragraph. Now we're going to do some moving around here because we're working in paragraphs, not an outline. We need to finish this second paragraph before we can really work on the third or the fourth paragraph. So we have this topic sentence of due to political corruption, the citizens of Atlanta were forced to leave their homes. So now we need to get the supporting details. Okay, so we have two supporting details for this idea of people having to flee Atlanta due to political unrest. And again, this scenario is completely fictionalized. I'm just using it as an example. So the supporting details were the president began executing citizens who were speaking about the country, and rebel forces rebelled against the president and started bombing public buildings. So these are our two supporting details, and they support the idea that people had to flee due to political unrest. So we're going to make sure that those are in complete sentences and go ahead and move them over into our second paragraph. Now each of these supporting details are going to need to be supported by some sort of evidence or quote or research. And we should have already done that with all the research we did in the previous units. In the previous modules, sorry. So in this top box here, we should have a quote or some sort of summary about why the president began executing the citizens. In this first box here, it says, according to a senator, the presidential edict was given to prevent conspirators from organizing and damaging his reputation. So this could be a quote or a paraphrase, really any kind of information you take directly from a source that supports this detail of why the citizens had to flee the country. And again, it really depends on what your topic is. I'm only trying to model an example for you. So you have your topic, you have your two supporting statements about that topic, and then you need some sort of quote, evidence, or summary from a source to support that detail. So we've copied our topic sentence into the second paragraph, and we've copied our supporting details into that second paragraph. Now we need to integrate our quotes or our evidence and put them after each of the supporting ideas. So I would take this first supporting idea and paste it after the president began executing citizens, like so. And when you're using quotes or summaries, it is important to cite them, and we'll go over citing at the end of all of this essay drafting. In the meanwhile, you should have a web address of where you got your quote, so just leave that in your draft for now. And then do the same with supporting details or the supporting idea too. Take that evidence, copy it, and put it after that second supporting detail. And you're going to do the same for each of these topics. So once you get your supporting details and your evidence for paragraph 1, Move on to paragraph 2. Take your topic, make it into a complete sentence, copy it as a first sentence in your next paragraph. Then take your 2 supporting ideas, make them into complete sentences, copy them into your next paragraph. Take your supporting evidence, make sure it's a complete idea, that's a full sentence, copy it, and put this after the first one, and take the second one and put it after the second supporting idea. And you do the same for the third paragraph. Then we have our conclusion. And the conclusion, we start with a transition sentence. There's a simple formula for this. We use a transition word or phrase like in summary, in closing, in conclusion, and you're going to restate the thesis. So in conclusion, comma, the refugees of Atlanta are suffering due to this political unrest, and there is no certainty when or if it will stop. Something like that. You should have developed 2 possible transition sentences you could use. Go ahead and select the one that you wanted to use and copy it over and put it in the 5th paragraph of your essay. Then you needed to summarize the ideas that the reader should have gotten from reading your paper. Go ahead and put those into complete sentences and copy each of them over and put them in the 5th paragraph. Finally, you have your conclusion sentence. These are the last sentences in the essay. And there's 2 ways you can write a conclusion sentence. You can either give the reader a task on what they should do to make a difference or how they can continue learning about this, or you can connect it to a bigger idea. So an example of a task conclusion sentence would be, if you want to make a difference and help the people in Atlanta, you should contact your local Senate leader and ask them to support such and such act to restore peace to this area. It doesn't have to be worded exactly like that, but basically you're giving them a resource to use to do something about this. Connecting it to a bigger idea would be like, if this crisis in Atlanta keeps going, the refugees could spill into other areas of the country and it would affect the balance of resources. Something should be done now to stop this from happening. That would be connecting it to a bigger idea. So that's how you take your planning, the pre-writing that we did, and you convert it into an essay. It's pretty straightforward, and if you need any help, go ahead and bring it into the live classroom we have on Thursday, and we can work on this together.